Hello and welcome. In this video, we will discuss the Standard 6th English Honeysuckle books. Second chapter, How the Dog Found Himself a New Master. The author of the story has not been mentioned and hence it is anonymous. Before we go into the details of the story, let us look at folktale. What is a folktale? A folk tale is a story with no known author. Folk tales are passed down from one generation to another by word of mouth. That is, folk tales are stories which are passed from one generation to another by speaking. It is not written anywhere, nobody keeps a record of it, but the record of the story only remains in the memories of those who speak about it. Before you read, you may know that the dog and the wolf are closely related. You may also know something about how, over the centuries, human beings have domesticated and tamed wild animals. Here is a story about how the dog became a tame animal. Let us begin the story. Dogs were once their own masters and lived the way wolves do, in freedom, until a dog was born who was ill pleased with this way of life. Now, I need to tell you that wherever there is a difficult word, I have underlined it, and just beside it, within brackets, I have given the meaning of that particular word. So, ill pleased means not happy. He was sick and tired of wandering about by himself looking for food and being frightened of those who were stronger than him. So once there was a dog who lived, and they used to be as free as wolves. And it was a long, long time ago, and during that time, it so happened one day that one particular dog was very, very unhappy with the way of life the wolves led. He was sick and tired of wandering about by himself. He did not feel good roaming from here to there in search of food and being frightened by those that were stronger than him. So he used to live a life, being scared that somebody might harm him, and he was also very bored of going in search of food from one place to another. So, what did he do? He thought it over and decided that the best thing for him to do was to become the servant of one who was stronger than anyone on earth, and he set out to find such a master. So, the dog wanted to give up this sort of a life, this life of freedom, so to say, and it wanted a master with whom it could stay and whom it could serve. It wanted to become a servant. He walked and walked, and he met a kinsman, that is, a relative of his, a big wolf, who was as strong as he was, fierce, violent, and frightening. So, while on his way to search for a master, the dog came across a wolf, and a wolf is referred to as a relative of the dog. And the wolf was very big, and he was as strong, and also he was very frightening, and he was very fierce. That is, frightening, and violent. So, looking at the dog, the wolf asked, "Where are you going, dog?" "I am looking for someone to take up service with, become the servant of." "Would you like to be my master, wolf?" So the dog said that I am going in search of a servant, and he made an offer to the wolf, and he straightaway asked the wolf if he would like to be his master. "I don't see why not," the wolf said, and this agreed upon, the two of them went on together. So the wolf was very happy to find a servant in the dog, and he agreed to keep the dog with himself. And when this was done, the two of them went on together. That is, they carried on their life. They walked, and all of a sudden, the wolf lifted his nose, sniffed, darted. Darted meaning moved quickly or suddenly. So he darted quickly off the path and into the bushes and crept deeper into the forest. The dog was much surprised. So while the dog and the wolf were walking through the forest, the wolf suddenly lifted his nose. He sniffed something, he got the smell of something, and as soon as he got that smell, he suddenly moved off the path. That is, he suddenly changed his course, he changed his route, and he hid into the bushes, and he crept. That is, he went deep into the forest. It was as if he was hiding. So the dog was much surprised. The dog could not understand why the wolf was behaving in such a manner. What happened to the wolf suddenly that he had to run so quickly deep into the forest and hide himself? So the dog asked his master, the wolf, "What's come over you, master? What has frightened you so?" The dog very plainly and simply asks his master, the wolf, that what happened to him suddenly. "Can't you see? There's a bear out there, and he might eat up both of us, you and me." So now the wolf tells the dog that there was a bear out in the forest, and the bear was bigger than the wolf, and the wolf was afraid of the bear. That is why it, as soon as it got the smell of the bear, it quickly ran into the forest and it hid himself. And it also tells the dog that the bear might eat both of us, you and me. So the bear could attack them, and obviously, by this, we can understand that the bear was more powerful and more strong than the wolf. Seeing that the bear was stronger than the wolf, the dog decided to take up service with him, and he left the wolf and asked the bear to be his master. The bear agreed to this readily and said, "Let us go and find a herd of cows. I'll kill a cow, and then we can both eat our fill." So, as soon as the dog saw that the wolf was scared of the bear, it left the wolf and it decided to become the servant of the bear. It asked the bear, and the bear was more than happy to accept the dog as his servant. The bear said that they would go and find a herd of cows, and the bear would kill a cow, and both of them would sit and eat the cow. They walked on and soon saw a herd of cows, but just as they were about to come up to it, they were stopped by a terrible noise. The cows were mooing loudly and running in a panic in all directions. So the bear and the dog, they walked on in search of the herd, and as they were about to come up to it, that is, as they had spotted a herd of cows, and when they tried to reach near, they were stopped by a loud noise, and with that noise all the cows, they got scared, and they were moving helter skelter here and there, very haphazardly. They were not sure what was going on, and they were scared, and in a sense of panic, the cows, they started running in all directions. The bear looked out from behind a tree, and then he too ran hastily deeper into the forest. Now suddenly the bear, it also looked out from behind a tree, that what was going on? Why were the cows running here and there in a panic, and what was that terrible noise? The bear also could not understand. So it also took shelter behind a tree, and after some time the bear also quickly ran deeper into the forest, almost like running away. Now, why did I have to come here? Said he to the dog. It is the lion who rules the forest in these parts. So, the bear tells that he curses himself that it was not a very good decision for him to come to that part of the forest, because in that part of the forest the lion was the ruler. It was the lion's area of the forest. So, hearing the name of the lion for the first time, the dog asked the lion, "Who's he?" The bear replied, "Don't you know? He is the strongest beast on earth." So, the bear was now scared of the lion, and he also informed the dog that this the lion was the strongest of all the animals who lived in the forest, and for that matter it was the strongest animal on earth itself. And off the dog went to ask the lion to be his master. So now the dog had found someone even stronger and better than the bear. It was the lion. So the bear, I'm sorry, the dog, it quickly went to the lion, and it started to ask the lion if he wanted to be the master of the dog. The lion agreed to it, and the dog stayed with him and served him for a long time. It was a good life, and he had nothing to complain of, for there was no stronger beast in the forest than the lion, and no one dared touch the dog or offend him in any way. So, the lion, being the strongest and the most brave of all the animals in the forest, the dog took up service with him. He became the lion's servant, and together they lived peacefully for a long time, and it was a very good life. Nobody complained of anything, nobody disturbed them, nobody was brave enough to do something to the dog or to cause the dog to feel upset, to irritate the dog. And the dog also was very happy with his new master, who was the lion, who was the strongest animal among all the animals in the forest. So life went on very smoothly once the dog became the lion's servant. But one day, the two of them were walking side by side along a path that ran amid bare cliffs when all of a sudden the lion stopped. He gave a great roar and struck the ground angrily with his paw with such force that a hole formed there. Then he began to walk away very quietly. So the lion and the dog, they were walking one day through the forest, and suddenly the lion stopped while walking in between the forest. So he gave a great roar, that is, he shouted out, cried out loudly, and something angered him, for which he struck the ground with his heavy paw, and he hit the ground so hard that a hole was formed in the ground. And then he began to walk away very quietly. "What is it, master? Is anything wrong?" asked the dog, surprised. "I smell a man coming this way," the lion said. "We'd better run for it or we'll be in trouble." So the dog asked the lion, who was his master, that what the matter was, why was he behaving in such a strange manner? And the lion replied that he could smell a man coming their way, and he advised the dog to run for it or they would be in trouble. That is, to run away, to run for their lives, otherwise, the man would kill them. "Oh, well, then I'll say goodbye to you, lion. I want a master who is stronger than anyone on earth." So the dog told his long-time master that he wanted someone who would be the strongest on earth. He would be stronger than anyone else on earth, and clearly the lion was also afraid of man. That is why the dog decided to leave even the lion and go away in search of the greatest master, who would be the man. And off the dog went to join the man, and he stayed with him and served him faithfully. This happened long, long ago, but to this day, the dog is man's most loyal servant and knows no other master. So, the dog, as we know, it's called a man's best friend, and this is how a dog came to be man's best friend. So, with this, I end this video here. I will see you in the next video. Thank you.